Hey, good morning, kids. It's I, Grandpa Peter Coyote, coming to you once again here from Crestone, Colorado, in the United States of America. Whatever that is. Love you guys. It's good to be here. It's good to be alive, to have survived to this moment in time. It's April 12th here now, in the year 2012, and we're like right in the last stages of removing from humanity that which has been done to them. The enslavement of your hearts, man, and your consciousness has been way down there in the turlet. I mean, way down there. So we haven't seen or felt too much of ourselves. Till recent times, anyway. There's a lot of consciousness going around. But what I'm talking about is like what you would consider behind the scenes. What you see here in the visible world, what we call the 3D world, or the Matrix, or the movie, is just the evidence. It's usually the last place it hits, because all the work is done in what you consider to be the background, which is really the foreground, because that's where creation exists. So what's created there becomes so here. That's just how it happens. That's reality there, and this is kind of like the result here. This is all going to change. And it is changing, but, this sense of division. Now, we're dissolving that away. It's the stuff that's been done to us, that's held our consciousness so low, is undoing itself. The head and the tail of it have already been taken care of. They've made their move. Which means they've come back to their heart and they're ready to go in the ways of the heart. Which means the rest of it should be fairly simple and easy as we end this sense of division of ourselves from the creative world, of ourselves from ourself, disconnected from our own heart. That's the way it seemed. We've managed to keep a little of it, but boy, it's so little of what we've known before. Yeah, a long time ago, we had hearts bigger than planets. Now, that's a metaphorical context we're speaking of, but yeah, the energy of your love was so expansive, it included everything. There wasn't anything you felt separate from. But you didn't know any difference in that either. You couldn't appreciate that state. So, we did this one for a while, just to check out the scenery. And babies, it's been a rugged and rough trip. It's not easy even to this day, yet it's getting better. It's getting simpler. And yeah, it is getting finally to a point where we can say easy, as we finish these last vestiges of darkness here in this life. Many of you are coming back to life, even right now. It's part of the finish. You're part of it. There's a small group of people out here, amongst the 7 billion we're told that live here, but there's a small group out there that are like angels arising from the muck of humanity, coming from the ground up, not the sky down, in the way that angels usually do. Kinda. So, your lights are coming on. There's new power arising within you. You feel different. You feel kind of disconnected from this 3D world. I mean, nothing that goes on here seems to matter much anymore. You're involved in it, yeah, and you got to go through it, but at the same time you feel detached. You know, it's got a unreal feel to it. That's why you have to drink coffee and maybe smoke cigarettes or whatever every now and then. You know, keep yourself on the ground here a little bit. But truth is, you don't need any of that. Truth is, you don't need to stay on the ground. As you rise up, you take the ground with you. The paradigms merge. We come together, oh yeah, right now. I mean, this is real. It's not something you're imagining. And you're learning to live in your creative heart, the love, the softness, the feminine love that cares for everything, that brought it forward in the first place. The soft side of love. And you know what? When you get over there, babies, there's no harshness. There is no such thing as tough love or hard love. Yeah, we've lived it. We've done it. Still do it even now. But that's not our reality. That's not our consciousness. And those of you rising up out of humanity, you know this. So you're feeling detached because it doesn't exist there anymore. Our life is not in this 3D world. The parameters of that world are beginning to no longer apply. And you're stepping back into the creative world. The one that feels separate from us, but we're coming into that. Bringing this life into that one. Bringing this carcass, this beautiful body, this physical thing, this dense thing, back into its light. And you're the trailblazers. You few who are rising up. You're here to break the ground, break the turf for everybody else. But there's nothing unusual about that. You've been doing this kind of stuff since the beginning of time. It's teamwork, baby. And yeah, we're all in this together. Every human that is. And we've sure taken some different trails to get to where we're going. Holy God. But where we're going, we've gotten there already. It's just a matter of finishing the process. And last few steps that lead that way, and then the huge steps that take us on into our true reality, the creative place. The place of the heart. The vagina of love. Back into the mother's womb, more or less. But yet, her grown children living in her love. Loving in her life. Being what she is because that's what we are. All products of the mother. You've been lied to about some of that. In fact, a lot of it. But you're beginning to realize and understand it now. It don't matter what practices and beliefs you've accepted in your life. Everything's in a state of change now, and none of those things are going to remain fixed. I mean, you have to be prepared for some sweeping changes here. All of us. And not just these few. Not just this 24. All of us got to be prepared for sweeping changes. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean go stock up on guns and ammo, for criminy sakes. Doesn't mean even stock up on canned goods, etc. Toilet paper, you don't need that stuff. Just get what you need and hang on to it, you know. Doesn't hurt to have a little supply hat, but you don't need. That's not the kind of preparation we're talking about, you know. The preparation's here. Letting yourself open and be and come to see what you are, the preparations. Being in touch with yourself. Being in a state of communion where you know. So this is your wake-up call. Come back inside your heart. Follow the conscious flow of that heart. What you feel, what you know, what you sense here. It spreads into your consciousness from there. That is your consciousness arising. We've told you many times over, nothing here is what it appears to be. When we move into this creative place, the rules by which we've played here no longer apply, as we're in such an ecstatic state of love. So you've got to be willing to let your consciousness stretch to include various parameters of living, various forms of expressive love that we may not have seen here before, or that we considered taboo, etc. You know, we've been lied to so much here. So many things are accepted as wrong, which, when they're applied with love, are totally right. But you will see this. You're taking the steps now. And that's why I'm kind of warning you, or calling it a wake-up call. Because, especially that small group that's rising up first, the babies, we're ready. We're stretching into it. We're learning to live expansively instead of restrictively. What this means is to let your heart regrow itself from this tiny little place inside where it's been hidden from you to this large, expansive place that includes all being, everything that is. And you care for it all. Every bit of it. No matter how abhorrent it may seem to you in the moment of time that you witness something ugly, you care for it. It's the mother's love returning to the father's heart, from which it seemed to be taken for a long time now. And that's why there's been such harshness here, and some very cruel lessons, and we've all had to learn them. Everybody's gone through them one way or another, and many times over for some, just because the lessons wasn't learned right the first time, and so on. But we're finally there where ascension comes as fast as you can accept it inside of yourself and no longer live by the restrictions and rules you've placed on yourself in this earth, this 3D reality. And all of the judgments that you've made on yourself because of the rules and restrictions here. I can't do this. What I did was wrong. You're coming to learn to live past those ideas and concepts and see the reality of your truthful love and begin to understand the power in that. The power of love is phenomenal. It's not just something in a song. We're creators. Expressive forms of the feminine love, which is masculine too, of course. Nothing that we see here is real. We've been lied to about just about everything, especially in the male-female dynamic. There is not such a huge separation between us. The divisions that seem so wide and deep are superfluous. They're lies. But we've established those lies so we could live without love for a while. Kind of. Learn what the idea of separation from love and the consequences thereof. God, did we learn a hard one there? Are we still? To a point. But we're coming out of that now. We're letting go of the harshness here. We're not going to live like this. We're not going to judge each other because we don't judge ourselves anymore. We're going to see this love in motion. The empowerment of people, all people, because of it. Because we can let it loose inside of ourselves and people around us do too, and it spreads like wildfire. And it changes everything. There are no traps here anymore, no places to get stuck, no deep holes of depression to crawl into, no torture of the anonymous being, no torture of anybody. Something very real is arising here. And if you think the political structure can affect it, think again. You can't touch it. Has nothing to do with it. This political shit is just going away. Bye. Have a nice day. We love you. You're a great concept in a limited reality. Goodbye. There are no limitations. We don't need you. So that's what I'm telling you about the real world. And these beings that feel they're so powerful as they could blow up the whole earth. Not anymore. They got their finger on a hollow button. There's nothing happening, babies. And they have been stopped in their tracks so that we can have the time we need to bring forth a divine paradigm and let it be our awakening, our return to self. So, you're learning to put your heart to creative use. And you're part of what dissolves all of this away. All you're going to realize from here on out is empowerment, meaning you will see how it is that your creative heart works, how it is that we're creating the dynamic in which we live, and how it is we're recreating ourselves away from the suffering, away from the noise, away from the heartache. And there'll not be a bit of it left here, inside of us or anywhere. And the lamb and the lion shall lay down beside each other and graze in peacefulness. Because we see our conscious love in motion. And bring back to our hearts, ourselves, the place from which we started, the reality of that paradise, which is our true home. Think about this one, babies. Visualize it. It's there. It's your consciousness trying to raise up in the form of your being and bring you back home to your own reality, the beauty, spectacular, beautiful and spectacular love that you are. The perfect person in consciousness that has chosen some unconscious experiences for itself and now rises back out of them. That is your blessed truth. And babies, there may be some rough spots. When I say easy, I don't mean easy. There may be some rough spots. But simple by comparison to what you've been through already. So get your heart off the ground, rise it up here in the air, and let's take ourselves somewhere, shall we? And forgive me if I sound a little vociferous this morning. But it's really flowing, babies. I'm feeling it, you're feeling it. It's changing everything we know. Our whole lives are changing. And sometimes these changes don't seem to make a whole lot of sense until you're back inside and seeing it from another perspective. And maybe you just got to gut it out a little bit. You know? Maybe things are happening that you don't quite understand, yet you're going with the flow because you trust it. It's what's inside of you. It's what's real. And the understanding oftentimes comes after the fact, not before it. But we're learning to let it catch up, and we won't live this way much longer. I mean, the days of unpeacefulness are pretty much over. So whatever anxiety or little agony still remains, I don't care how big the blow-up is, it's pretty minor in comparison to what you've been through already. You can do this last little bit of it and finish with it. It's there to help you bring forward your love. No matter what's wrong or going on inside of another person that may be causing problems for you. It's all about you and repairing what's going on inside yourself. See, so I'm speaking to me too. We all do this together, believe it or not. Even though there seems to be a small group that comes up and leads the way and all that. They don't do that without the consciousness of every heart being there. Everybody does it together. That's the truth. So don't let them tell you a bunch of lies about division and about how it's going to stay divided and others are going to stumble off into the old paradigm and die there. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. But the only way you'll know that is by seeing it inside of yourself, seeing the togetherness, understanding how together you really are with every other person and being that lives in this universe. Not just this Mother Earth, but all the lives that are living. Babies, that's consciousness. That's reality. That's truth. And when it comes, it changes everything. I mean, babies. So don't go feeling like you're lost in love, Lord. I mean, not many of you do anymore anyway, but if you are, just understand that's your path to consciousness too. And there's nothing wrong with that. And even in your darkness, do you rise up through the light, many other beings around you. And learn to process darkness. Learn to see the light in that too. Bring it home to your heart. Make it love. In darkness it will no longer be. See how powerfully creative you are and why you've chosen such dark and gnarly experiences for yourself. Understand this truth and it liberates you, sets you free from this slavery. And yeah, we've been slaves to the unconsciousness. Babies, you rock. You've done it. Angels are rising up from amongst us and sharing the ways of truth. Ding dong, Avon calling. And we're not going to sell you face paint. Got something a little different in these jars these days. God, don't we love the metaphors? You're worthy of your empowerment. Open up that jar, take a long drink of water, babies. Refresh yourself in the heart as it reveals itself to you. And we're going to make these steps. We're going there. Back into the sun. And taking this earth there with us. Oh, you won't believe the lies as they fade away. But in a way, we never did. We just lived them. Okay, guys, I love you. Until next time, know that all this heartache's been worth it. The days of struggle are over. Let's get together and rock and roll, shall we? Put your heart to that one. Think about what it means. Understand the power of reunion, of hearts coming together and joining with one another in their fullness of consciousness. And you start to get an idea of what kind of party this is we're moving into. Cock-a-doodle-doo, wake up too. Here we go, babies. Rock and roll. Oh, and peace and love too.